you so much for buying this Easter wreath kit. This instructional video is going to go in real time, so if you are done with steps like cutting your mesh or putting in your ribbons, you feel free to fast forward in this tutorial, and then that way you can get through it as quickly as you need. But for those that are new to this, I'm going to go step by step very slowly to make sure that you're familiar with how to do this. That way you can make your own going forward. It's going to be so much fun. Okay, today we're going to be doing a Happy Easter wreath. Now this is our sign. We've got our cute little Easter chicks on there, which are adorable. We have our Happy Easter ribbon, it's lavender. We also have our yellow ribbon with Easter eggs on it. Our mesh is this yellow fabric plaid mesh that I love. It works very nicely, especially for first timers. It's very pliable to work with. You'll also notice that you have 13 pipe cleaners in your set, along with a wire wreath frame. So what we're going to do now is take our pipe cleaners, I'm going to move everything else off the table, and we're going to focus just with our pipe cleaners on setting up the work frame. Now these pipe cleaners are going to be what holds your mesh and ribbons onto the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck one underneath between the second and third ring. I'm going to bring up a pipe cleaner. Notice it's on the left side of this spine. I'm going to bring it around over the top ring and bring it back through. And I'm going to put it through between the second and third ring like the other one was, but I'm doing it on the other side of the spine. And then I put it down and then I twist it. I'm going to zoom in now. We're going to do it again so you can see closer how I am doing this. Okay. Notice here's the spine. 1, 2, 3, 4th ring. We're going to put it between the second and third ring to the left of the spine. Pull it up over the top. Then we're going to put it down to the right of the spine, again between the second and third ring. Bring it around, and then we just twist those nice and tight. And there we go. We're going to continue that all the way around the inside of our wreath frame where the spines are. So this is number 3. Number 4. Twist. Number 5. And number 6. I'm going to bring that up to the camera now and show you much closer what that looks like so you can get a close-up view. Okay, you can see that nice and close. This is what it looks like there. Now we're going to pull it down and we are going to work on the outside ring. Now, we do not want to put it on the same spines here because we want it to be right between these other two. So it's going to go between the 3rd and 4th ring, right in the middle, and then just bring it around again. And then this one, we want to make sure we tug it nice and tight. It's okay to see that wire frame bend inward a little bit. That's how we know it's not going to slide. So I'm going to bring this in. This is number 3. Number 4. Number 5. And number 6. I chose white pipe cleaners because I think that's going to be the one that will not stand out as much. We have white and yellow checked mesh, and then we do have some white in the ribbons as well. So now I'm going to zoom out a little bit. You can see everything a little better. Now, these 2 pipe cleaners are reserved. I'm going to staple them to the back of the sign. Yours will already come stapled to the sign. You don't need to worry about that. And this other one is going to be used for the bow. So I'm going to put that aside as well. I'm going to put the wreath frame aside. And now I am bringing out my mesh. This is plaid fabric mesh. It's nice and soft, and I like it because It's a pretty yellow. It's not overpowering. I think it's just very, it's yellow and happy, but it's not like school bus yellow. Okay. So we are going to cut this at 18 inches. Now I have a mesh roller here. You can see this on the side. This is what my mesh roller looks like. It holds my mesh for me as I cut it. You don't need this. If you don't have one, you can just cut your mesh as you need. I do this a lot, so it made sense for me to have this. So I'm putting my mesh on the roller and I'm pulling it underneath my ruler. So now you can see on here, this is a 36-inch mat. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see. I am going to pull my mesh out. I'm going to pull it out to 10 inches and I'm going to cut it at 28 inches. According to my math, which is not always great, that should be 18 inches. So I need to cut 12 pieces of this mesh at 18 inches a piece. So I'm going to pull it out to 10 and count with me. 1, 2, 3. Oops, here we go. Sorry. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're getting there. 10, 11, and 12. Now, I used a rotary cutting tool, but you can also just cut straight up with scissors. That's why plaid mesh is nice, because you can see the lines. You'll know where to cut. Okay, now we have our mesh ready. I'm going to move most of my mesh off to the side so that it doesn't go flying off the front of my table. Oops. There we go. Sorry, guys. Touched my camera and it went all over the place. Okay, so now we're going to start with, I'm going to put my wreath frame over here. Okay, scooch in a little bit, you can see better. There we go. So now I'm going to lay my mesh. I'm going to lay it nice and flat. Okay, you can see it's flat. Now you can see there's light, 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 dark, dark, dark. So right up the middle, you can see it's between two stripes. That's where I want my fingers to go as we bunch up this mesh. So I am going to start from the bottom and I'm going to I'm kind of scraping it. If you can hear with my fingernails, it's kind of scraping up the center. I want to keep as straight as I can on that. And this ends up making the shape of a bow tie. Kind of like a little Orville Redenbacher, if you will, with a little bow tie. I am going to take this pipe cleaner, the bottom here, open it up. It's already open. And then I am going to put it down in there. And then I'm going to take this and twist it. Now I want to overlap the mesh on the top and on bottom so it makes a circle. On the next one, I will zoom in closer and you can see how I put the mesh in there. So let's gather this mesh up, wear it up the middle. Okay, now let's zoom in as much as we can. Here is my open pipe cleaner right here. I'm going to put that right down in the center. Okay, make sure my pipe cleaner from the bottom comes up and the top comes down. And I'm just going to tighten it and twist it. Do not cut these off yet. These are going to hold our ribbons in as well. So then I'm going to overlap the top and the bottom. Overlap the top and the bottom. And as you go through, you'll notice mesh by nature will have little pieces of strings and it's going to fray a little bit. Don't be afraid if your mesh is frayed. You can trim that off easily. Some people cut it with a wood burner. I choose not to breathe those fumes. So I just trim them and make sure everything is nicely cut. Okay, now we're going to go start on our third one. And as I said before, if you find that you're getting the hang of this and you don't feel that you want to watch me go through every single one, please feel forward to fast through this part. I know your time is very valuable, and some people do work faster than others. So this is number 3. Tighten, overlap, overlap. Coming around to number 4. I have a little mountain of mesh on the side here that almost just went rolling all the way off the table. Exactly what I said I did not want to have happen. Oh, this is going to be nice. It's so nice to start making spring things. It's so dreary sometimes with this weather that it's nice to have something with color that doesn't look gray. Especially this year in 2024, Easter's coming early at the end of March. So it's going to be a quick switch going from St. Patrick's Day all the way into Easter within like 2 weeks. That's okay. We can do it. Sometimes I like to have a little both holidays up. Like I'll put like some St. Patrick's Day in my entryway, and then I'll put some Easter in the kitchen and the family room a little bit. I have to celebrate Thanksgiving or St. Patrick's Day because that is my mother and my stepdaughter's birthdays. So I can never not celebrate those. Okay, this is the last ruffle on the outside layer. Then we're going to go in the inside layer. And sometimes it's a little tricky to find the pipe cleaners on the inside layer. So I'm going to go through and try to pull those a little bit forward. Make sure they're easy to identify. See here, there's one that kind of went stray in the back. Pull that up in the front. Here we go. Excellent. Well, I hope you have fun making this wreath. I know I do. My first wreath I ever made, I got into it. I went down the rabbit hole called Pinterest. And I was looking at wreaths going, at first I was like, oh, I can make that easy. And then I tried. And what did they say? It's not as easy as it looks. And it's really true. When you first start out, I was cutting each individual ribbon one by one until I realized I could cut them in bulk. So then I got a ribbon tail board, and that changed the game for me. I was able to go much faster. See here, I'm cutting some. You can see a little bit of fray. Trim that up just a little bit. It's giving it just a little haircut. Just going to get a little trim. Okay. Here we go. This is number 2. Ruffles. I've always loved crafting for Easter. I remember when I was little, I used to watch my mom. She would macrame, hand make these Easter baskets, which I still have mine. But one year we had a school party back when we still had Easter parties at school, and she made a handmade macrame little tiny basket for every kid in the class. It was amazing, and it took her hours and hours. And I think my mom is definitely where I get my love of doing fun and crafty things. Now my daughter loves to draw and do artwork. She likes to help me make my stuff, so I'm hoping that sweet Aria is okay with inheriting the business someday. Someday when I retire, she can kind of carry on. She has been making some wreaths with me and stuff, and she's definitely artistic, so I'm hoping that she enjoys it as much as I do, but if she doesn't, I just hope that she follows whatever passion she has on her own. Okay, 3 left. And then we move on to cutting our ribbons. This is the least fun part of making the wreath, to be honest. Like, nobody likes to sit here and put the mesh in. Everybody likes to put on the ribbons and put on the sign and do the stuff that makes it fun. So this is kind of like, I guess you could consider this the homework part. You know, the part that everyone's like, ah. But that's okay. That's okay. We got to get it done. This way we get to know each other a little bit. And this video could be used for making any kind of pancake wreath. This method was, I follow Sincerely Creative Mom, and she does wonderful with these type of wreaths. They're very big here where I live in Chicago because everyone's got a storm door. So that's why this pancake method is perfect. go, overlapping, top and bottom. And then we can also decide too, when we go to put on our sign, do we want it to go on the top? Do we want it to go on the bottom? I haven't decided yet. All right, I'm going to trim off a little extra excess fray here. It's knotted all up. There we go. There we go. Okay, the last ruffle that we're putting in. Here we go. All right. Ruffle. Do you guys remember from the 80s commercials about ruffles have ridges and I can't roll my R's? Otherwise, you would probably remember that advertisement. Every time I do that with the ruffling off the mesh, that's what I think of. Ruffles have ridges. Okay, so now here is our finished wreath frame. It is measuring about like widest to widest. One of these is hitting at like 22. Is it consistently 22? Yeah, consistently at a thin 22. But look how narrow this is. Look how thin we are going with our stuff. This is going to be great. So now what we're going to do is cut our ribbons. Now I happen to have a ribbon tail board, but you can measure this out manually one by one. You can cut a piece of cardboard to the length. We are going to cut these at 14 inches a piece. So I'm going to start with my yellow and just cutting these at 14 inches long. So I need 12 pieces. So I'm going to wrap this around this board 12 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which leaves me plenty of ribbon to make a bow. You actually will probably have enough left over to make 2 bows. So you can make a bow for this wreath, and then you can make a complimentary bow that could go on a lantern or a garland or on an Easter basket. Putting a handmade bow on an Easter basket is a wonderful touch. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dovetail these. So I cut right in half. So I've got 6 of these and 6 in the other bunch. I'm going to bend these inward so all the wires are touching nice and flat. You can see there that they're all lined up well. I'm going to cut from the inside, angled toward the outside. That gives me a dovetail shape. Okay, let's do that zoomed in, and I can show you much better, much closer. Here we go. Touch together, inward, cutting outward. Boom. Nice dovetail shape. So we have our 6 of our ribbons. All right, I'm going to zoom back out now that I've shown you how to dovetail. I'm going to cut the rest. I like to try to keep my pile of cut edges all in one area. I am very OCD and I like to clean up all this stuff right after I cut it because I can't work with mess. I also don't want to be stepping on these little pieces. Now, these are fun little pieces, right? But they also have little bits of wire sticking out of them. So that's why I like to put them in the trash right away. And I never work barefoot in my workspace because I learned. Oh, did I learn? Okay, we already did this one. I'm going to put the yellow to the side. I'm going to put it over on my bow making tool. Here we go. Now this is so cute. It says Happy Easter. I love that because it also says Happy Easter on our sign. Normally I don't really like ribbon that has writing on it, but this was particularly cute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to cut it off the end. And again, this is 14 inches on the length of our ribbon. Here we go. I slide that right through the one loop on the one side, slide it right through the loop on the other. All right, now let's dovetail these beauties. Boom, boom. Ooh, you may want to divide it up into smaller groups than 6 and 6. It does, if you got, thicker ribbon and duller scissors, we don't want to dull the scissors so much that it doesn't cut well. I'm just doing it like this quickly because I'm trying to show you guys how to do it. All right, my last set. Here we go. This is pretty, and I like this ribbon because, oops, hold on a second, I'm losing it. Here we go. Inside out. Because you'll notice it's got yellow on the top and pink on the bottom. I think that's really cute. I really like that. Here we go. You know, and also you don't have to make a pancake wreath. With this, you can add another roll of mesh. You can do cruffles and make it a little bit chunkier if you want to do that. All right, I'm going to put my other ribbon aside as well. Okay. And now we are going to attach the ribbons. So I'm going to put the yellow pattern on the bottom because I want this Happy Easter to have the attention and be more on top. So what I'm going to do is, got yellow on the bottom, and then right over that I'm going to lay the purple, and then I'm going to bend it in half. I want to find my center point. That's where I'm going to crease it and ruffle it up. So you can see here there's a line. You can see that crease. I'm going to ruffle it up and pinch it. See how it's nice and pinched? And then I like to go kind of bend them down a little bit because that's how they're going to go on the wreath. Then I go back, I open up the zip ties or the pipe cleaner, and then I just put that right in there. And then I just tighten it. And now I'm going to twist it a good couple of times because I'm going to cut off the pipe cleaner now. I'm going to leave about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Just trim it. And then what I do after I've trimmed it is I will find the little gap here that we had with our pancake, and I just push it down in there. And then I just, boop, goes right back to where it was. So now we have our ribbons splayed out. I'm going to take the bottom, the yellow ribbon on the bottom, move it up toward the top, and then the purple over it. I'm going to do the same again over there, so these ribbons are alternating. Now, you can decide if you want them to all be together. You can switch it out so that your purple is in the middle and your yellow is on the outside. It basically just depends what you like. I, however, like to stagger it, especially when I've got, you know, some pretty colors, because I want each to be able to shine. Okay, so that was, oh, you know, I should have done that on the bottom. So actually, I'm going to start on the bottom. Forget what I did. I'm going to go finish on the bottom first, and then I'll go back on the top. I don't think it really matters too much. It's just in terms of, you don't want to mess up the ribbons you've already gone and done. That's why I think starting on the bottom is better. But I wanted to show you guys have a better view as to how to put that ribbon in. And you couldn't really see it if I left it on the bottom. So yeah, I did it intentionally. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, and I'm going to put that pipe cleaner underneath there. I'm going to separate these out. So that is the first one on the bottom. Now we're going to go to bottom level number 2. Okay. Pinch that up. Here we go. I'm going to twist that pipe cleaner a couple of times. And if there's any frayed mesh, you don't want to twist that into the pipe cleaner if you can avoid it. I'm going to trim the excess pipe cleaner. I'm going to tuck that into the gap where it goes hidden. You'll never see it again. And then I pull yellow and yellow. And then I like to make sure that the top pancake layer lays nicely over that because we're going to have ribbons on top of that. You'll find you have to do quite a bit of adjusting here and there. You know, things move as you work and add other product. Things move, so you're just going to have to... We do a final fluff when we're done. Okay, bending this over. Here we go. I find that 14-inch ribbon tails, those are the ones that work the best for me. If I'm making a smaller wreath, I think this is a 14-inch wreath frame. If I do something smaller, then I might go down to 13-inch tails. Because I don't want my tails to stick out too far. past the outside of my wreath. But I also don't want them to look like they're too small, like my pants shrunk or something, you know. You can always trim it later, but you can't really add length back to it. That's what they say about haircuts too. You can always go shorter, but at least hair grows. Mine, unfortunately, is going gray. Well, I've been gray since I was 25, so I think I've spent more than half my life with gray hair already. Maybe I should go lavender and dye it to match the wreath, huh? No. That's going a little too far for me. All right. I'm a low maintenance kind of gal. Here we go. All righty. You want to make sure they will have a tendency to want to kind of go back under each other. So you might have to pull it a couple of times to really convince it to stay where you want it to be. Okay, and this is the last one on the outside. And here we go. Bending it over. Coming up. Okay. Trim the excess. Boom. Done. Separate out our ribbons, kind of yank. Each ribbon should basically kind of move individually. Oh, I just felt a little, here we go. You might find you'll feel the little extra pieces. You might have to give it a little trim too. Okay, so now our top ones. And you can see this yellow one decided again, he wants to keep moving back where he was. Sometimes they have a mind of their own, but that's why it's always best to use wired ribbon. We like to get wired around here. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Trim it. And I have a little surprise at the end, something that you might have seen when you opened your box, but you didn't hear me talk about yet. I'm gonna have a little surprise. I forgot to pull that out, but it's something else that we're gonna use in our bow. Okay, I like to unwrap mine first so it's ready to go. See, once you've tightened it and you squeezed it and it's been sitting there a little bit, once you undo it, the mesh shouldn't pop out unless it's like super stiff. So it basically kind of learns to behave, knows where it needs to stay. It doesn't really move too much, which is why I do like the fabric mesh. Now, as with any outdoor decor, if it's got direct sunlight, it's going to fade. Everything does, but you can get UV spray sealant. Like it, you can find it. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at the home store, like Menards, Home Depot. Like a UV protectant sealant. Now spray it, if you're going to do that, spray like the back side first in a little tiny area to make sure it's not going to discolor anything. I don't spray my items because I don't know if my customers want chemicals on there. So I let that be a personal choice. But I do have that in the recommendation under all my listings for any type of outdoor wreath. I recommend spraying it with a bit of a coating. Everything does eventually fade in the sun, except for me, I turn beet red like a lobster. Yeah. Okay, and we've got just 2 more to go. We're almost there, guys, and then we're going to put on the sign. Then we can make a bow. Maybe we'll make the bow first, and then we can kind of play with placement. I can show you how it would look both ways if you put the bow at the top or if you put the bow at the bottom. You might even want to put the sign up and down and put a bow on the side. The choice is totally up to you. What I'm doing here is just a recommendation, but always follow whatever your creative heart tells you to do. Alrighty. Okay, now here's the last set of ribbons that we're going to put in. Wait, I'm missing one. I forgot one on the bottom, guys. I forgot one on the bottom. Hold on, let me get the one on the bottom first. Great, of course I did this when I'm recording something. Of course. Hey, I'm not perfect. Don't strive to be. Stuff happens. All right. Get that last one in there. Sorry about that. You get the point, though. You knew 6 on the bottom, 6 on the top. That hasn't changed. But I was like, why do I have an extra set of ribbon tails? Because you only put 5 on the bottom, Linda. Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right. Here's our last one, guys. Boom. Boom. Let's get this bigger. Sorry. Let me get bigger. Here we go. Zooming it back out. All right. Twisting, twisting, twisting. Okay. Tuck that in between there. Trim off. I see a little bit of fray. We're going to trim that. Don't be afraid to trim your frays. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the ribbon tails on there. And again, this is how thin it is. Okay. So now, the next thing I'm going to do, you will already have your sign like this, but if you do buy signs, and they're not metal, if they're wood, we like to use a staple gun. I like to staple it on there, but you have to build up the back because the staple will come through the front of your sign. So I take the cardboard, like for example, that I got from a roll of mesh because it's thicker cardboard. It's not like a cardboard box. It's going to crush. It's a little thicker cardboard. And I cut 2 squares. You can see right here. 2 squares for each side. So I have 4 pieces. And I'm going to turn the sign over. I'm going to put 2 on either side. And that's where I have my extra pipe cleaners. I'm going to staple this pipe cleaner. I put it right on top, kind of centered. I will flatten the cardboard so it lays flat before I staple it on. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to do that on the other side here as well. Make sure I got the same height of where it's at. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. And again, I will have stapled the sign already for you so that you don't have to do that because not everybody has a staple gun. Okay, so we have our cute little sign. Now, we're going to make a bow. I think actually it might be cute if we put our sign on the top and made a bow for the bottom. So we would be kind of putting it that way and then our bow down here. So I think that's what we're going to do because you do have these whole rolls of ribbon left. So I'm going to show you how to make the bow now. We're going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to bring over my bow making tool. Okay. This is called the Easy Bows Design Pro. Oops. Sorry, went to grab something. You know what? I was gonna, yeah, I think that could be cute. Okay. So I'm gonna give you all a little bit extra of this 1.5 inch ribbon. That's just gonna make a cute little loop in the center of the bow when we're done. So we're gonna start with, I have the yellow on the bottom. There we go. There we go. So the yellow on the bottom. I like to dovetail it to start just because I'm weird that way. But you know what? I think we're just going to do a rounded bow, like the normal size. So I'm going to do a tail that hits at 7 inches. Okay. Now, if you need to make a bow by hand, you absolutely can do that. I can't. My left hand does not work as good as it should. But there are many bow making tools out there. There's the Bow Dabra, there's the Pro Bow the Hand, there's this Easy Bows, there's like a wood version of this as well. You can also use a chip clip to hold this if you don't have anything else. So what I'm going to do is twist, pinch and twist. So the back side of this ribbon, you can see it's lighter. The back side of this ribbon is facing up. Okay. Now I'm going to bring that loop over. Okay. And I'm going to make that loop at, we're going to do it at 6 inches. So one loop over there. And then I brought it through. And then I did a pinch and I twist it. So again, now we want to see the back side of this ribbon over here. So then I'm going to bring it through here again. So we're going to have a 6-inch loop on this side. And we're going to pinch and push it down. And I do a pinch and twist. Perfect. Now I'm going to make another set of 6-inch loops. And as I push it down, I'm just making sure that that levels, it's even with the loop before it. There we go. Even with the loop before it. Okay. Now this one came out and hit at 7. So I'm going to cut this just a little bit before 7 because I need to have a little room to dovetail it. Okay. So now what I do is I'm going to move the loops to the top and bottom. And I'm going to have the tail in the middle for this layer. Okay. So it basically kind of makes an X shape with the loops, and then the tails just go straight across. So think like X, and then loop straight across, or the tail right across. See? So now I'm done with the yellow. I'm going to bring over my purple. Now here's where we might have to get a little creative because this ribbon does have writing on it, and I don't want the writing to look upside down when we make our bow. So I'm going to start now this side. Before I start with my tail on that side, this time I'm going to start with my tail on this side. I'm going to put it through there. My tail is going to come hit at, it'll hit just at 6 inches after it's dovetailed, okay? And we might actually end up trimming this a little bit. We'll see, but I put that in there. I pinch and twist, okay? So now I'm starting off on the right-hand side of the loop. I've got the back of the ribbon. I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to make a loop at 5 inches, and I'm going to push down. I'm going to do my pinch and twist. Now, you'll notice that it's an H, but it's upside down. Bunny is upside down. So in order to fix that, I'm going to take this whole loop here. I'm going to pinch it as close to the dowels as I can. Just take that loop, and you can rotate that entire loop. You can just move that whole thing, twist it so that it now faces the correct way. When we add other layers on top of there, you won't even see that twist. You won't even know. So the other side now, I'm also going to make that a 5-inch loop. Pushing down. Now I'm going to pinch and twist. Here we go. I'm going to go down this way again. Pinch and twist. That way. Again, I'm going to have to rotate that loop. I like to do that before I really start making the other one. That way, if I got to pull a little bit or if it doesn't end up being even, I still can mess with it without impacting the loop on the other side. Okay. And then that hit at a little bit before 6. So this will hit, I'll cut it like at 6. And then dovetail it. Oops. There we go. Then I'm going to pull these loops down. All right. Kind of go more like up and up, up and up. Then we are going to bring in, you'll see that there's a piece of teal ribbon that I have provided to you. That teal plays off the teal and the Y. So we're going to put that down here, and we're going to make another layer. I'm going to start by dovetailing it. Okay. And I'm going to put, this is going to be small. This one's going to hit at like 5 inches on the tail. Okay, and I got my pinch and twist. Okay, this is the back side of the ribbon. I'm bringing this over, and I'm looking at the length of this ribbon that is 4 inches. Okay, that's a 4-inch loop. Then I pinch and twist. So now my back side is up. Bring it back through. 4 inches on that side. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. What I want to do now is, because I don't want too much of this tail, this is just a little tiny bit. So now I could bring the tail down, but then I want something tiny in the middle. So we're going to make what I call a sweet center loop. We're going to make a very small loop in here. So I pinch and twist again. So I've got the back side up. I'm going to pull this over, but I'm going to leave it about 2 fingers width inside that loop before I push it down. Okay. And then we're going to bring this tail over, just kind of cut it the same length as the other one. Now don't worry that they're both going to the one side. We're going to change that. You won't even notice it. We're going to be able to kick it over when it's done. Here we go. I think I want the yellow up and that. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to take the white pipe cleaner that we have left. Okay. And I'm going to just pull up from the bottom just a little tiny bit, enough to get your hands underneath there. You want to push up from the bottom and push down from the top. You want to squish this together. Think of like the layers of a BLT sandwich. You're squishing this whole thing together so none of the layers fall out. Okay, so I've got it in my left hand, my thumb on top. On the back, I'm going to just pick up my finger, my 1 index finger, and slide that under there. Well, actually, you know what? No, we're not going to do that. Never mind. I was going to use a zip tie, but we're not. We're just going to basically, I'm going to push this between my 2 fingers, okay? So it's kind of coming through the back, underneath the back, and then I just pull it over the top. And now we've got our pipe cleaner around the bow, and then just twist it. So it's secured. Now watch, I'm not going to twist the pipe cleaner. I'm going to hold the pipe cleaner, I'm going to pinch it tight, and I'm going to twist the bow. That's going to help our loops to pop, okay? So I've twisted the bow. I'm going to move this. I'm going to show you how we are going to fluff this out. Now we don't want it to be too fluffy, because if you're going to put this between a storm door, we can't have that to be too fluffy. So here we go. Sometimes I push down a little bit to keep everything flatter. Okay, the yellows are going to come up, and then it's going to be purple. Okay. I'm going to trim this a little bit. I didn't like how long that was. I'm going to trim off about 1 inch, maybe a little less. You want it to kind of have a rounded shape, but this was a little too oblong. There, this aligns much better. You can see that. Now for the center, what we're going to do is we're going to take this top leg, we're going to move that over. Okay, so that tail's going to come over. So now looking at it, you can't really tell. And then that sweet loop, we're going to put your fingers in there and kind of widen it a little bit. And then we have that. That way, I didn't want to do any more loops because I don't want the teal to become overpowering. It's supposed to just kind of play off and accent the Y. Okay? So now we have our bow. And we have our pipe cleaners on the back. So let me zoom back out, and you're going to see what the whole thing looks like now. If we put our sign on the top and our bow on the bottom, it will look like this. Or you could choose to put your sign on the bottom, and you can put your bow on the top. You can also put your sign sideways and your bow sideways as well. There's many different ways that you can choose to do this. I think I'm actually going to put the sign on the top for mine. So I'm going to put it, so you see I've got 2 of these pipe cleaners. And I'm actually going to leave this on there because I think it's cute with the rope. I'm going to put it there and there. But the top of the sign will then cover that. We're trying to make sure that the pipe cleaners are covered. So if I put it there and there, then it covers that pipe cleaner. You can't see it. So what I'm going to do is rotate this. And I'm going to put the pipe cleaner right through the space that's already there where we had the pipe cleaner for our mesh and our ribbon. So there's already a defined spot there. You just have to feed your pipe cleaners through that. Eek. Sometimes it'll catch the mesh and you got to just move it out of the way. All right, now I'm going to pull that. Pull it down. All right, I don't want to push too hard because I don't want it to look squished, but I want it to have enough tightness. So I'm going to give it a good tug. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to twist it. Oh, I'll cut that off first. I'm just going to do twist, 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 twist. I'm going to twist the whole thing. I'm not going to trim this off because you may want to take the sign off, use it somewhere else someday. You might want to move it around. So I'm just going to wrap that excess pipe cleaner right around 2 of those rings. You can see it's just wrapped right there. So now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do that on the other side over here. I'm going to find where that front pipe cleaner was there. And then the second pipe cleaner in the back here. Pushing it through the mesh. Come on, baby, go. Sometimes it hits so much mesh it can't make its way through, so we got to give it a little assistance. Okay, there it goes. There she goes. I knew she'd do it. I had faith in you this whole time, baby. Okay. Then I'm going to flip it over again. I'm going to do it on. I'm going to twist this all again. And then while I have this flipped over, see here when I'm going to feed this, I'm just going to wrap this excess around the extra. The extra pipe cleaner is going to go around the wreath frame. Here we go. All right. While I've got this up, I'm going to trim off any of the frayed pieces that I see on the back that you've already got it flipped over. So this is a good time to kind of clean up your work. You know, it's totally natural to see some little frays, but once you clean it up, it should stay good. Sometimes there's also a product called Fray Check that you can get, and you can dab on there in certain spots if they're giving you trouble. A little bit of this. Okay, I'm thinking that looks good. Okay. Might have to adjust our ribbon tails a little bit as we put the sign on because things, like I said, do tend to move around and get a mind of their own. But all in all, it looks really good. And then the last thing we're going to do is put on our ribbon. And just like we did with our sign, there's the pipe cleaner spot here that we're going to use. So we're going to take our pipe cleaner, take the ends, I'm going to take the top, stick through the top part. Okay, I found that. Now I'm going to take the bottom one and stick it down under the bottom of that pipe cleaner bunch. The pipe cleaner bunch. The pipe cleaner bunch. It's the way we became the pipe cleaner bunch. No, I don't think that was the story. All right. And then now I'm going to flip it over gently. I don't want to squish the bow too much, but here we go. We'll talk more about the bow in just a second. Okay, I'm going to trim off a little bit. There's little excess there. All right. I'm just going to wrap this around. Okay. And here's our bow. Now, if you have a screen door, the way we designed this bow is it can lay flat. We're going to squish this flat, right? We've got that. Now you can pull this if you don't want this to be as wide. You can pull it down a little bit. You can make it a little smaller. There we go. Now all I got to do is just trim this a little bit. And that way it is basically pre-squished so that you are controlling how it's going to get thinner when the door is closed. So that is kind of how you would do that. You can pull. I'm going to pull up those loops. Yellow, purple, yellow, purple, yellow, purple. Okay, we want to go all the way around like that. And then these go over the top. All right, so that is what that looks like squished. I'm going to fluff it up just a little bit, especially these here. And you don't have to make these as long. You can make these shorter if you want. You can make just the loop with this teal ribbon. There's lots of different things that you can do with this kit on your own. And again, this kit, this video can be used for lots of different types of wreaths. I will probably have other kits available soon in my store that are just product only, not with the video, because this process is pretty much the same for every thin wreath that I would make. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is our finished wreath. Here we go. This is the finished, little close-up view. Okay, there's the bow down on the side. And then look how thin this is. This is so thin. This is, when you squish that bow down, this is about 4 inches. Yep, 4 inches, which is standard for any regular normal size screen door. So thank you very much for joining me today. I truly appreciate you purchasing this kit and hanging in there with me as we made this beautiful wreath. This wreath will be for sale on sweetariadecor.com, and you can also go there to find lots of other kits, some ribbon supplies, and lots of other wreaths for every holiday you can imagine. Haven't done tax day yet, but you know, every other holiday. So thank you again so much, and happy crafting, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on social media, and you can also shop my store at sweetariadecor.com.